I first realized my understanding of universal order was flawed when I stood in the Great Hall of Gamera, listening to a jarring cacophony that no one else on my team could interpret properly. This was not ordinary white noise or cosmic static. It was a turbulent medley of signals, voices, music, bizarre sound effects, emerging from some overlooked corner of the galaxy. If it had been up to me, I might have simply assigned it to an anomaly report, but the Council insisted I investigate. After all, I was Lemmer, an esteemed member of the Galactic Governance Council's Elite Survey Division. My peers and I had reason to believe we controlled just about everything worth controlling in this universe. That comforting assumption was about to unravel. My species has lived on Gamera for 1,000,000 years in a state of what we proudly call perfected organization. Our structures are symmetrical, our laws meticulously refined, and our technology advanced to the point where we can manipulate energy and matter almost on a whim. For centuries, we believed no other civilization truly rivaled us. We established the Council to oversee all potential threats and anomalies in the galaxy. We corrected imbalances, guiding lesser species onto what we deemed the appropriate path. The truth of it, to be blunt, was that we ran an empire, soft-handed, perhaps, but an empire nonetheless. So when the audio pulses from a small, watery planet in an unremarkable solar system lit up our detection array, I was both curious and mildly annoyed. The signals had such strange rhythms, so many clashing frequencies. In some segments, I could hear what sounded like laughter, as if thousands of beings cackled about something. Other portions contained intense arguments, while at least one snippet was apparently repeated chanting in a language we didn't recognize. The Council's analysis concluded that it came from a planet the locals called Earth. Previous scans had registered it as occupied by carbon-based life forms, but we never deemed it significant. Our attitude was that Earth was too chaotic to unify, too primitive to stand out. I gathered my team of 5 and prepared to travel. My official orders from the Council were to identify the source of the signals and determine if Earth required adjustments. In practical terms, that meant we would see if we needed to restrict them, re-educate them, or in extreme cases, impose a technology blockade so that they couldn't contaminate other parts of the galaxy. The Council had done this many times with worlds that displayed dangerous unpredictability. We considered it an act of mercy. My companions were loyal, though not all of them shared my mild curiosity. Nemix, my second-in-command, was a stern believer in the absolute correctness of the Council's cause. Serway, our communication specialist, was exceptionally gifted at deciphering alien languages, but had little patience for inefficiency. And then there was Zuria, in charge of infiltration and illusions, plus Tovin, an expert in zero-point weaponry if things ever escalated. We traveled aboard an elegant craft known as the Spear of Gamera, a sleek vessel powered by warp gates that folded space around us. Everything about our mission felt routine, if not downright dull. That was before we actually arrived in Earth's orbit and realized how deafening their transmissions truly were in real time. The moment we dropped out of warp near the moon, the Spear's detection screens lit up with 1,000 data points. Radio chatter, TV broadcasts, microwaves, cellular signals, satellite feeds. It was as though the entire planet was shouting at once. We tried to filter it, but the volume of content was staggering. Our normal protocols were to observe quietly for a few days, mapping out power structures, analyzing governments, and evaluating intelligence levels. We had not anticipated the near-infinite streams of content these humans generated. Is that people dancing in costumes shaped like aquatic animals? Serway muttered as she tried to interpret one of the transmissions. She manipulated our universal translator, but all it spat out were confusing references to something called a Halloween costume contest in Santa Cruz. Another feed showed short bursts of people dancing for a few seconds, repeating some memorized routine with text overlays like #DanceChallenge. We had no idea what any of it meant. Nemix let out a frustrated hiss. It's unstructured. This is an evolutionary dead end, if I've ever seen one. Shall we just file them as incompetent? The council won't let them spread chaos. He believed in immediate action, disrupt Earth's transmissions, impose order, and be done. But I wanted to see for myself first. I had a faint suspicion that behind all this noise might lie something truly novel. We decided to land in a discreet manner, waiting for night to cloak our descent. After scanning for low population zones, we identified a patch of farmland in the middle of a region known as the American Midwest. Tovin was skeptical. What if these humans are more advanced militarily than we assume? But Nemix dismissed the concern. If they were, they wouldn't be flooding space with contradictory signals. A truly organized civilization uses narrowband transmissions or quantum entanglement. These humans are blasting scattershot across the electromagnetic spectrum. Our landing was nearly silent, except for the fact that we accidentally set down near a defunct barn that collapsed under the force of our gravitational field. This alerted a small group of local inhabitants, one of whom was a young woman named Ginny Mabel. She had seen the flash in the sky, hopped into a battered pickup truck, and headed toward the source with her phone camera rolling. Later, I would learn she was a university student enthralled by extraterrestrial conspiracy theories. She had precisely the kind of bold spirit that we Gomerans didn't expect from primitive worlds. Normally, when the rumor of an alien craft surfaces, the typical reaction is fear or a desperate attempt to call the authorities. But Ginny hopped out of her truck alone, marched right up to the barn's remains, phone in hand, and whispered excitedly to her viewers, "If this is a real UFO, I'm going to get 1 million views, guys. This is so lit. I promise you, I'm going to find the truth tonight." We watched through our ship's external monitors, perplexed. The translator had no trouble with her language, but it struggled with her slang. Something about views, lit, and the truth. Sarah frowned. She's not even wearing protective gear. She's just filming. I decided this might be an ideal first contact scenario. She seemed alone, brave, and curious, perfect for gleaning initial impressions. I stepped outside in a carefully chosen energy form, a shape I conjured to look vaguely humanoid while retaining a luminous aura, signifying higher status. As I emerged, Ginny let out a shriek, but it was more excitement than terror. Her phone trembled in her hand. I spoke in a neutral tone. "We come in peace." The translator modulated my words into her language. She squeaked, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh," before pressing a button to go live. I found myself, for the first time in my life, being broadcast instantaneously to what I would later learn was her modest circle of 5,000 internet followers. When our short conversation ended, she demanded, "Are you from a place called Gamera, or something? Are there more of you? Did you come to help us, or to harvest our organs?" I was taken aback by the bluntness of her questions, as well as the casual way she documented the encounter. She kept telling her live viewers, "Can you believe it? Guys, I'm face to face with an alien. This is epic. Someone please screenshot all of this." I didn't understand half of her references, but I recognized the excitement. It reminded me of an academic thirst for knowledge. Despite the confusion, her spirit was genuine, not overshadowed by fear. Nemix grew concerned, telling me through our internal comm link, "Lemmer, we can't have this out in the open. She's broadcasting us. The council wants secrecy." But something in me decided to allow it for the moment. Earth's population was so massive and so inundated by bizarre videos daily that many watchers might even assume her footage was fake. I suspected that letting a bit of the truth slip out wouldn't matter. Instead, I wanted to see more of what these humans truly were like. In the next 24 hours, Ginny and a handful of her friends took me and my team on a whirlwind tour of their local nightlife, culminating in an invitation to a raucous house party. It was the strangest infiltration mission I had ever led. I wore a projection that made me look convincingly human, medium height, short dark hair, clothing based on local fashion gleaned from an advertisement online. Sarah and Nemix did the same, though their illusions had a slight off-kilter glow at the edges. Tovin, always stoic, refused to exit the ship. He said he'd stay back to guard it in case of trouble. The party was in a small, somewhat run-down house filled with young humans. Loud music and a swirling array of colored lights. The moment I stepped in, the smell of alcohol, sweat, and something called buffalo wings assaulted my senses. I heard dozens of overlapping conversations about classes, relationships, gossip, viral memes. Nothing systematic or organized at all. Yet a kind of synergy permeated the room, an unspoken energy that bound these people together. They danced, they laughed, they spilled drinks on the floor. They sang karaoke in shaky voices, all without the slightest concern for perfect alignment or cosmic order. Ginny introduced us as exchange students from far away, smirking conspiratorially at me when she said it. We ended up in a debate with some tipsy college students about advanced technology. One insisted that the government was hiding anti-gravity prototypes in a desert base. Nimitz almost lost his composure, wanting to correct them that anti-gravity was child's play for Gomerans, but he was forced to nod politely. Then someone else started playing a certain upbeat, repetitive pop song. I recognized the chorus from one of Earth's broadcast signals, an inane tune that somehow enthralled half the planet. People threw their hands in the air, shouting the lyrics, losing themselves in the moment. It was so chaotic, so unlike our controlled gatherings back on Gomera. I should have been appalled, but I found a strange sense of vitality in it. We left the party after a few hours, retreating to the Spear of Gomera in the farmland. Nimitz demanded that I file an immediate recommendation to the Council for Discipline. These humans are out of control, he said. They're disorganized, they film everything, they have no consistent chain of authority. They're a breeding ground for cosmic anarchy. Serway chimed in more gently. They're unpredictable, that's true. But they're also kind of intriguing, wouldn't you say? I could only nod. Indeed, they were. I decided to gather more data, so we spent 3 days quietly exploring. Under illusions, we roamed city streets, coffee shops, and public libraries. We took note of how humans structured their societies. Multiple governments with competing ideologies, corporations chasing profit, individuals protesting, and entire subcultures living in alternative realities. A single city block could contain a bakery that smelled of fresh bread, a high-end electronics store selling advanced computing devices, and a group of street performers juggling flaming torches. The deeper we looked, the more contradictions we found. On the third night, we discovered that Ginny had posted her initial encounter online, and it had drawn fervent reactions. Some believed her wholeheartedly, others mocked it as a hoax, and still others used it as an excuse to launch debates about conspiracies. Meanwhile, no major authority figures seemed to have stepped forward to confirm or deny anything. Humanity's default response was cynicism and humor, with a minority absolutely convinced the video was real. Their readiness to argue had a comedic edge, like a planet-wide discussion where no one agreed on a single interpretation. Serway found it bizarre, yet strangely liberating. They don't have a single narrative, she mused. They build thousands of narratives simultaneously, sometimes conflicting, sometimes coexisting. That's unimaginable in our society. At that point, we faced a critical choice. The Council had begun sending urgent messages, demanding updates on Earth compliance. They wanted me to assess if we should proceed with an adjustment, meaning we'd suppress Earth communication capabilities and place it under Gomeran supervision. Nimitz favored that path, but I was torn. Something about these people's messy, frantic energy was captivating. I had glimpsed an unusual resilience in them, a drive to explore, create, and share in ways that defied standard logic. With perfect knowledge of the Council's stance, I hesitated anyway. I told Nimitz that we needed a more thorough understanding before condemning them. Unknown to me, the Council was already growing impatient. They suspected I was going native, a phenomenon sometimes joked about in the survey division, where investigators become enthralled by the civilization they study. The Council took steps of their own. It began with small acts of sabotage. They started blocking Earth's signals from going beyond the solar system. Then they threatened a more drastic measure, deploying the dreaded punishment squad. The squad's commander was Alnexus, one of the Council's most feared enforcers. He was known for purging entire star systems that defied Gomeran oversight. Word reached me through covert channels that Al-Nexus might be on his way if I didn't restore order. Meanwhile, Ginny persisted in coaxing me out from my illusions. She wanted me to visit her university to see how humans research the cosmos on a fraction of our technological capacity. I agreed, mostly because I wanted more data and partly because I was quietly fascinated by her unflappable curiosity. We spent a morning in a campus observatory, a small dome with a reflecting telescope that they used to gaze at distant galaxies. The resolution was pitiful by Gomeran standards, but the human astronomers wore expressions of awe as they observed faint glimmers of light. They used mathematics to hypothesize about dark matter, black holes, cosmic expansion. I recognized truths they were approaching, yet they lacked the tools or confirmations. Still, they theorized and debated with an earnest zeal. The scene humbled me. In the face of infinite cosmic complexity, these humans bravely pressed on with their limited instruments. Later that day, I listened to a group of them discussing an upcoming satellite launch that would measure background radiation. They crowdfunded part of the project, rallying thousands of everyday citizens to donate small sums. At first, I thought it was an absurd method of funding research. Yet it also signaled a sort of collective will to uncover cosmic secrets. This was not forced by a central authority or mandated by a Supreme Council. It was messy, grassroots, and arguably less efficient than a single directive. But it emerged from a genuine, collaborative impulse. And that was something I had scarcely seen in all the worlds we'd perfected. Nemix tried to talk sense into me that evening. Lemmer, enough is enough. The Council is sending final warnings. We either bring Earth under control, or they'll send Al-Nexus to do it for us. I felt a pang of anxiety. I had witnessed entire star systems crumble under Al-Nexus's cruelty. He was unwavering in his devotion to the Council's absolute rule. If he arrived, Earth wouldn't stand a chance. Its scattered militaries, comedic approach to seriousness, and endless arguments would be no match for Gomeran warships and dimension-scrambling weaponry. I consulted with Ginny, explaining, though carefully, that there existed an incredibly powerful cosmic authority that deemed Earth's unregulated transmissions a threat to universal harmony. She was alarmed but also defiant. We might be chaotic, she said, but who are they to judge our entire planet's worth? Isn't that a bit dictatorial? Her remarks echoed something deep inside me. The Council had always sold its dominion as beneficial. But from Earth's perspective, it was tyranny. We never asked if any planet wanted to be controlled. Suddenly, the first wave of the punishment squad arrived. A Gomeran cruiser emerged in Earth's orbit. It broadcast a message that every corner of the planet could understand. Some advanced technology allowing them to speak in all languages simultaneously. The message was stern. Humans, you are out of compliance with cosmic standards. Cease all external transmissions immediately or face enforcement. Governments around the globe scrambled. Some disbelieved it. Others panicked. The internet exploded with theories, comedic posts, calls to arms, and pleas for peace. Memes of space overlords wearing silly hats cropped up overnight. Hashtags like hashtag alien takeover and hashtag freedom for Earth trended. In short, no unified response emerged, just as I expected. Al-Nexus had not yet arrived, but his subordinates pressed the issue. They began disabling Earth satellites, plunging certain regions offline. Television stations went dark. Cell networks sporadically cut out. People freaked out. Half the planet worried that they might never check their social feeds again. Meanwhile, the punishing cruisers threatened more drastic actions if Earth did not accept Gomeran supervision at once. Earth's governments tried to open diplomatic channels, but the squad demanded immediate compliance. Desperate, Ginny livestreamed from a hidden location using a backup link that still functioned. She urged people not to give in, encouraging them to fight for their right to be who they were. Yes, chaotic but free. Her stream was chaotic too. Thousands of viewers posted comments that ranged from supportive to mocking. But that's when something extraordinary happened. A community of human hackers from all over the globe banded together, each with a personal mission to keep the planet connected. They rapidly coded new encryption keys, set up clandestine servers, and rerouted signals through improvised channels. It was messy, uncoordinated, but weirdly effective. Though the Gomeran cruisers had advanced tech, they faced an onslaught of cunning electronic sabotage from individuals who simply refused to be silenced. For 2 days, the planet teetered on the brink. Some satellites were destroyed, but others were hidden or reactivated in new orbits. Entire swaths of the internet vanished, only to reappear on decentralized networks. Memes praising the brave hackers circulated, fueling a morale boost. The more the squad tried to lock Earth down, the more creative the inhabitants became. They exploited vulnerabilities in the Gomeran systems, launching infiltration viruses that replaced the squad's interface screens with pictures of dancing cats and incomprehensible pop songs. While not exactly strategic warfare, it disoriented the soldiers of the punishment squad enough to buy time. Meanwhile, I tried to mediate, but my rank held little authority over Alnexus's subordinates. They dismissed me as compromised. Finally, Alnexus arrived. His personal flagship was a behemoth, brimming with quantum-level weapons that could, in theory, vaporize an entire city in seconds. He established orbit and demanded my presence. I had no choice but to go, face to face with him. Though, ironically, it was more like energy form to energy form. I explained what I had learned about Earth's unpredictability, its emergent alliances, and its potential to contribute something new to the cosmic stage. He stared me down with eyes like dark pits of absolute certainty. You have been seduced by their madness, Lemur. The Council cannot allow an out-of-control species to spread its chaos. They must be subdued. Alnexus broadcast an ultimatum to the planet. Submit to Gomeran rule, or we will systematically disable your energy grids, your data centers, your entire technology base. The world's leaders prepared statements urging calm or conditional cooperation. Some wanted to negotiate. Some insisted on fighting. But no single consensus emerged. That same night, humans around the globe, in a last wave of defiance, held vigils, gatherings, and protests. Some put on music festivals, proclaiming that if this was the end, they would go out singing. Others ramped up hacking attempts, searching for Alnexus's flagship vulnerabilities. Ginny, weeping with fury, posted a final video saying, "This is our home. We might be chaotic, but we have hearts, we have dreams, we share them in a million ways. We deserve our freedom." I felt a weight in my core I had never experienced. For the first time in my life, I contemplated turning against the Council I had served so diligently. Could I defy Alnexus? This man who had destroyed countless systems, who believed unwaveringly in the righteousness of universal control, had the Council's full support. I, on the other hand, was just an elite survey officer. But something had shifted in me since I'd arrived here. Seeing the humans' raw, messy vitality stirred me in ways the sanitized order of Gamera never did. With trembling resolve, I told Alnexus, "This is wrong. They don't want your order. They have their own. You mistake their unpredictability for chaos. Yet I see it as an evolving tapestry of potential. There's a beauty here worth preserving." Alnexus glowered. "Then you are a traitor. Stand aside or be punished with them." I did not stand aside. I reached out to Ginny through the last secure channel we had. She told me there was a plan hatching among the hackers to disrupt Alnexus's flagship shielding by bombarding it with an unholy mix of electromagnetic pulses timed to the beats of a popular EDM track. The plan sounded ridiculous, like something that should never have worked. But that was so Earth. They were going to try it anyway, counting on randomness to slip past the flagship's pattern recognition. Meanwhile, in person, I prepared to confront Alnexus physically. Facing him above Earth's atmosphere in a dimensionally stabilized environment, I engaged in what we Gomerans called an energy mind duel, a direct conflict of mental while harnessing advanced dimensional manipulations. Alnexus was a master. He manifested intricate energy constructs, tried to trap me within fractal illusions. I fought back, drawing upon a fierce determination that had been born in me these past days. Below us, The entire planet was ablaze with its own brand of battle. Digital infiltration, unstoppable memes, and a ragtag network of satellite signals streaming that pounding EDM track at the perfect intervals. The synergy was remarkable. The more Al Nexus tried to clamp down, the more resistance welled up from Earth's billions of minds, fueling a wave of defiance that I tapped into. Our duel reached its crescendo when Al Nexus unleashed a dimension ripper, a catastrophic surge meant to tear my consciousness from physical reality. But I braced, and behind me, I felt the intangible push of countless human voices, that unstoppable collective desire to remain free. In a final push, I turned Al Nexus's own dimension ripper back onto him, fracturing his illusions. Exhausted, I felt him recoil in shock. In that moment, the Earth hacker's pulses struck. With perfect comedic timing, the flagship's shields glitched, bombarded by waveforms synchronized to the drop of a synthetic baseline that no Gomeran system had been designed to handle. The flagship's systems dimmed, and Al Nexus lost his upper hand. Humiliated, he realized he could not maintain control. Gomeran reinforcements that tried to warp and found themselves jammed by the same insane signals. The voice of an amateur DJ, somewhere on Earth, bellowed in the background, "Yo, we're going interstellar now, baby." And with that final blow, Al Nexus recognized defeat. He retreated to his cruiser with the remains of the squad. The Council's grip over Earth was shattered in that one improbable triumph. In the aftermath, I was officially labeled a renegade by the Council. But on Earth, people cheered, or they posted celebratory memes, or they argued that the entire thing was some elaborate Hollywood stunt. It didn't matter. For once, the planet had found a measure of unity in the face of external oppression, even if that unity was a patchwork of contradictory strategies and half-lucky breaks. I saw new possibilities for the galaxy. If Earth could stand against Gomeran might, perhaps other worlds could too, forging alliances that didn't revolve around forced conformity. But not everything was easy. Earth's governments, newly aware of cosmic realities, didn't instantly unify into one. Some demanded advanced technology, others insisted on isolation. Conspiracy theories spiraled, more so than ever, with alleged sightings of Gomeran infiltration in every corner of the globe. I tried to help by explaining the larger cosmic environment, cautioning that more enforcers could come. The Council might never give up its attempts to impose order. Yet the humans, instead of trembling, responded with their trademark mixture of defiance, jokes, and unstoppable creativity. Ginny, who had ironically become the face of Alien First Contact, was invited to speak at a hastily convened session of global representatives. She stood before ambassadors, presidents, and prime ministers and told them that our differences would be Earth's greatest shield. The galaxy wouldn't understand how to subdue something so fractal and spontaneous. "We're definitely a mess," she concluded, "but it's our mess. No council has the right to fix it. As for me, I remain on Earth. I no longer had a place in Gomeran society, unless I wished to stand trial for insubordination, which I didn't. I studied more about Earth science, discovering that their best minds were edging toward major breakthroughs in quantum physics, dark matter, and gravitational waves. They might still be centuries behind Gomera's engineering feats, but they had an intangible quality, sheer determination, combined with a random spark of brilliance that could shatter barriers. Their chaotic approach to problem-solving was at once horrifying and inspiring. I could not help marveling at them. In time, rumors circulated that certain moderate factions within the Council wanted to negotiate with Earth to open a dialogue of mutual respect. They were overshadowed, however, by hardliners who believed that letting Earth roam free was a cosmic mistake. But with Al Nexus's humiliating defeat, the Council had to regroup. Their fearsome reputation was compromised. Other species that had long been subjugated began to question Gomeran authority, sensing the vulnerability. Earth's improbable victory, part sabotage, part cunning, part comedic viral mania, rippled across the cosmos, giving hope to countless lesser worlds. Our universal empire of order showed cracks. Back on Gomera, debates erupted. I received a discreet message from a friend in the survey division who confided that some believed Earth should be studied as an example of emergent synergy. Others insisted it was a plague to be contained. The council was split for the first time in centuries. They could not understand how a species that fought among itself, broadcasted silly videos, engaged in petty politics, and lacked centralized leadership could repel our nexus. But they also couldn't deny the evidence that had happened. Earth, for its part, wobbled along in the aftermath. The global economy took a hit, but ironically, the sense of planetary solidarity soared in certain spheres. Scientists collaborated across borders to glean any scraps of Gamera knowledge from me. I carefully doled out bits and pieces, things that wouldn't lead to the rapid creation of superweapons. My fear was that if the humans gained destructive technology too quickly, they might become a menace. They had an undeniable capacity for violence. History told me that. Yet I felt they deserve a chance to evolve on their own terms, to harness their creativity for something better. Jenny found herself bombarded by media requests. She turned into an informal ambassador, bridging the gap between me and the swirling chaos of Earth societies. She curated a channel, ironically named Humanity, called Broadcasting Interviews with Me about Galactic History. Millions tuned in, some still questioning if it was real or an elaborate hoax. Others embraced it wholeheartedly. The Council, despite its reticence, found it harder to keep a lid on cosmic knowledge. A door had been opened, and Earth, in its unstoppable curiosity, was charging right through. Months slipped by. Alnexus's name had become something of a joke in the Earth meme culture, a villain who was bested by dancing cats and glitchy EDM. In a calmer moment, I might have pitied him. He represented the iron-fisted approach of a millennia-old system that believed in top-down control. Earth tore that assumption apart with a mixture of grit, humor, and raw unpredictability. For Gamerans like me, it was both terrifying and enlightening. One breezy afternoon, I found myself perched on a small balcony in the dormitory building of Jenny's University, looking down at the campus quad. Students bustled from class to class. Posters advertised an upcoming music festival, a blood drive, and a chess club tournament, all on the same bulletin board. A dog trotted across the lawn, chasing a squirrel. In the sky above, contrails of airplanes crisscrossed like ephemeral geometry. My communication device hummed with updates from around the galaxy. A Gameran envoy was rumored to be en route, hopefully to negotiate rather than threaten. The Earth was swirling with activity, its inhabitants more or less returned to everyday life, though overshadowed by the knowledge they were not alone. And I stood in the middle, belonging fully to neither side, feeling a surge of odd contentment. Why contentment? Because I realized that in the cosmic scale, we Gamerans had become stagnant. Our pursuit of perfect order robbed us of the raw wonder these humans showed at the slightest cosmic discovery. We had tamed our curiosity in favor of stability. They, on the other hand, flung themselves into the unknown with reckless abandon, sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding, but always pushing forward. I found myself quietly rooting for their success. Let them figure out warp drive in 2 centuries or 2 millennia. Let them make mistakes along the way. The Council once believed we had a right, nay a duty, to control all of this. Now I saw that we had no right at all. The universe was big enough for every bizarre approach to living. Not everyone on Earth was ecstatic, of course. Some believed the Gamerans should have conquered them, that a universal authority might solve war and inequality. Others claimed I was the spearhead of a bigger invasion soon to come. Conspiracy theories blossomed, from underground doomsday cults to comedic parodies claiming that Lemur is just a viral marketing gimmick. The planet remained, in a word, complicated, but it was that very complexity that I came to value. I answered as many questions as I could. I tried to reassure them, though I had no illusions that the Council had given up entirely. I sometimes dreamed that Gamerans and humans would form a mutual alliance, fostering an era of exploration instead of oppression. My old friend from the survey division confided that cracks were growing in the Council's facade. Freed by the embarrassment of Earth's resistance, Minor species around the galaxy began questioning the official line. They wanted more independence, more participation in the grand cosmic tapestry. The illusions of total control were evaporating. Alnexus had gone silent. Perhaps he was brooding in some hidden corner of the galaxy, plotting revenge. Or maybe even he was forced to see the truth, that the council structure was not as eternal as we'd once believed. One of the final phone calls I had with a human official was with a group representing various nations, asking me point blank, "What do you think our next step should be?" I replied that it wasn't my place to decide Earth's future. I was an outsider who'd grown oddly fond of them, but I had neither the right nor the ability to chart their destiny. "Figure it out your way," I said. "That's your gift, the capacity to break molds and surprise the universe. Trust me, it's more powerful than you know." Time went on. Gradually, the alien crisis became part of Earth's new normal. People integrated the knowledge that the galaxy was full of life, that advanced civilizations existed, that some of them sought control, and that Earth had defied them. Documentaries were filmed, ironically splicing footage of Alnexus's ultimatum with comedic reaction clips from video blogs. Scientists hurried to decode my limited technical hints, forging partnerships across continents. A sense of global identity formed, tenuous, perhaps, but real enough to spark projects like the first Earth Space Coalition, designed to unify their efforts in cosmic exploration. As for me, I found a quiet place in Ginny's world. I taught a few university lectures on cosmic phenomena from a Gamorrean perspective, carefully avoiding mention of doomsday devices or dimension-ripping weapons. I found contentment in simple things, walking through a bustling street market, tasting spice food that lit up my senses, learning to play an acoustic guitar. The council would have found these pursuits trivial. But after so long in a perfectly ordered existence, I discovered joy in Earth's trivialities. I even attended a music festival half terrified that some random radio wave might blow my cover, but it turned out nobody recognized me. Everyone was too busy dancing under the neon lights, lost in the communal wave of sound. There were times I felt regret or guilt for betraying my old life. I had once believed wholeheartedly in the council's mission. But every time I saw a child's eyes light up when they learned something new or witnessed humans from different cultures bridging their differences over shared music or laughter, I was reminded why I did it. Yes, Earth was a swirling tempest of contradictory impulses. And yet, from that storm came innovation and hope that the Council had never managed to replicate in 1,000-star systems. A year after the conflict, rumors spread that Alnexus was preparing for a second invasion, rallying hardliners within Gamorra. Tovin, who had retreated to the cosmic fringes, covertly confirmed the rumor. Fear briefly gripped Earth, but instead of panic, we saw immediate calls for collaboration. Nations that once distrusted one another pooled resources, forming an improbable alliance of militaries, scientists, hackers, and ordinary citizens who refused to be stifled. The synergy was unimaginable to me a year earlier. They built rudimentary orbital defenses, improved stealth satellites, and refined the same chaotic electronic warfare techniques that had humiliated Alnexus. My heart soared to see them so determined. Perhaps the second invasion would come, or perhaps not. Regardless, Earth would stand ready, not as a single monolithic empire, but as a mosaic of cultures and voices that found unity in adversity. Thus, we created a new reality. The Council no longer held absolute dominion, and Earth marched forward on its messy path. We Gamorreans, or at least some of us, learned that controlling the universe is an illusion. The cosmos is too wide, too varied for a single dogma of order. On my darkest nights, I still wonder if the Council might unleash some ultimate weapon to forcibly end the Earth experiment. But every day, I see fresh evidence that humans, despite their flaws, won't yield easily. They might fill cyberspace with bickering and jokes, but when pushed, they rise to defend what they love. In the end, that's what changed me. The realization that we had overlooked something fundamental, a raw, emotional grit that stands up to unstoppable odds. The Gomerans, with all our advanced calculus and symmetrical designs, have forgotten how powerful the soul of a people can be. We believed order was unstoppable, but Earth taught us that sometimes disorder is unstoppable, too, especially when it's fueled by a fierce longing for freedom and dignity. I often think back to the day I first arrived, hearing an onslaught of signals and dismissing them as chaos. I remember stepping into that wild house party, the music pounding in my chest, tasting the tang of hot sauce on battered chicken wings. I recall Ginny, phone in hand, demanding to know if I was real. In those fleeting moments, I witnessed the heart of a species that refused to be molded into neat lines. The Council can call it anarchy, but I see it as a kaleidoscope of infinite possibility. So, here I remain, an exile of sorts, but an exile who found new purpose. Each morning, I check Earth's evolving attempts at cosmic exploration, scanning to see which new rocket or telescope they've cobbled together. Each night, I gaze at the stars, pondering how vast the galaxy is and how small we really are. Yet for all its smallness, Earth changed the cosmic power structure in ways none of us imagined. They defied the unstoppable. They thrived in the face of adversity. And in so doing, they called the rest of us to reconsider everything we thought we knew. That's the story of how we, who once believed we controlled the universe, were shaken to our cores by a defiant blue planet brimming with boisterous, quarreling, meme-slinging, never-give-up humans. We had believed them an insignificant footnote in the grand orchestration of cosmic order, but they were never small. Not once did they lie down and let us fix or break them. Instead, they rose as a chorus of chaos and courage. They remain a testament that no matter how advanced you become, you cannot fully cage free will or spontaneous creativity. We once boasted that everything in the galaxy answered to Gamera's will. We said the Council was the arbiter of destiny. Yet after I spent enough time on Earth, I saw clearly that destiny laughs at such pretensions. The human's voice, though chaotic, was a clarion call that wrenched us out of our complacency. We might have believed we possessed the entire cosmos, but the day Earth truly spoke back, the day they turned our illusions of authority inside out, was the day we realized just how vast and free the universe could be. And we were forced to admit, much to our reluctant awe, that we did not control as much as we thought. The future now belongs to those who dare to seize it. And if there's one thing humans do exceptionally well, it's daring to seize everything in front of them, no matter how impossible it seems. And that, I have discovered, is precisely what makes them so impossibly alive.